So I guess the secret's out. We can kind of talk about, it's sort of the same situation as the last one, where you were doing press for Curse, and it was kind of like a surprise that you were in it, but I guess not so much. And I guess they're anxious to let people know that you, playing Kyle, returns to the world of Chucky. How cool is that?
It's very cool.
Well, we're doing this on October 4th. You know, the film came out yesterday.
Right.
Had this even been last week, Christine wouldn't have been able to sit here. So, yeah, well, the same thing happened with Curse when I did that. It had already been released. But yeah, Christine just lived through the same year that I did in 2012, where you just have to lie to everybody that contacts you about it.
It's just constant.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't tell anybody, like even close friends?
And I couldn't even say no. Are you in it? I couldn't say no because people were afraid that, the powers that be were afraid that would create a backlash. So I couldn't say no and I couldn't say yes. I did the weird gray area of like,
maybe.
We got to see the film. You know?
Yeah, I'm like, only shot 2 endings. I don't know if I'm in the one that, making stuff up.
How surreal is it for you guys that I think the second one came out in 90 or so we're hitting 30 years almost. How surreal is it for you guys to be here together talking about Chucky again?
Yeah, surreal is the common word for this experience. You know, I had said earlier, like, especially filming this one, Cult of Chucky, in the freezing cold in Winnipeg, it just reminded me of being 6 years old in Chicago, filming a Chucky movie. You know, Don and I, even one time we were outside freezing, looking at each other, we were like, this is amazing that we're doing this right now. It's really, really incredible that 30 years later, we're still making Chucky films, that I got to come back and play this character that I played when I was 6. Yeah, surreal is definitely the word.
It's also surreal for me because I met him when he was 7, you know, and now he's a man. That's surreal to me. But he's actually an adult. It's freaky. You're not 7 forever? I know. Yeah. But still, it's cool.
Yeah. And then when did you know about this? At what point in the process did Don say, hey, we want to bring Kyle back?
For a long time, he's been trying to make it happen, and I didn't believe it was going to happen until I was on the plane. You know, it was sort of touch and go always. And as you know, my participation in this one is something that could easily have not happened, you know, and it wouldn't have changed the movie much.
Right.
You know? So,
same thing with Mice. Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't believe it was going to happen. And then once it was done, wasn't sure it would stay, you know, it would live. So
yeah, I'm glad I stayed through the credits because you have to know, but that seems to be with every movie nowadays.
Yeah.
You stay through the credits, especially after Curse too. And you know, you mentioned, you know, how before Curse, the years leading up to Curse, is this something that you were thinking about? Did you want to return to this world, or was it not until Don brought it up that you were like, okay?
No, I mean, I since part 3, I wished I was still in the franchise. I mean, I expected to be in 3, and then when I found out I wasn't, I was totally disappointed.
Me too.
And then, you know, I was in high school, I think, when Bride came out, or just finishing high school, and then many years later, Seed came out, and yeah, I wouldn't say I was jealous or envious, but I was wishing I was still a part of it for sure. And then Don and I had begun talking a little more often, and he told me that he wanted to try to do something like that in Curse. And then when he finally got the okay to do it, or had something written, you know, then he called me and said, okay, so I wrote you a scene in the new film. It's at the very, very end, but please don't skip to the end. Read the entire thing. And yeah, you know, the struggle of making it happen was difficult. The same thing that Christine was worried about in this one, because you never know. It's not all up to Don even. Like, there's a lot of people have to make decisions about those things. And he said to me at the time, you know, don't tell anybody. If you tell anybody, it's just going to make it less likely we're going to be able to do this. So he was like, don't even tell your parents. Just don't tell anybody. So yeah, and I didn't. I kept it a secret for a year, which is exactly what Christine has been doing now.
What do you guys kind of envision for Kyle and Andy going forward? Has Don hinted at what might be in the cards?
No, there's no hints. There's no. I would love to make a movie with Christine where it was, you know, the two of us against
the Avengers.
Yeah, that would be so much fun. So I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely, I think Don could write something really fantastic for that. So I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's kind of just like when he calls you, that's like when it's happening, right? Like there's no like
when the
building.
studio gives him the okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Don's good about not trying to get your hopes up before it's the right time to. And if he does, he says it with extreme caution, you know.
Right. What are your memories going back to the first one? I mean, you mentioned 6 years old. I mean, are they very vivid memories, like every day on set dealing with this guy?
Yeah, not every day. I mean, but I remember way more about making that film than anything else when I was 6 years old.
I can imagine.
You know, that's totally. There's things that very much stick out. I mean, and not just on set things. Like I remember. Where we were working, at the hotel we were at, there was an underground shopping area with a McDonald's, and I remember going there with Catherine. And I remember I remember going into Chris Sarandon's trailer and hanging out with his daughters, and like I remember a lot of off-camera things that we did then.
Much like Andy, you haven't escaped this guy.
No,
He's still haunting you.
Yeah, exactly. Andy and myself have a lot of parallels.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure as a 6-year-old, you're not thinking, well, I bet in 30 years I'm going to be making another.
No, absolutely not. After the second one, I didn't think that. And then especially once I wasn't in the third one, I never thought, oh, it's all right, I'll be doing it again when I'm 35,
Right.
I was 6. My babysitter was murdered.
And they never caught him?
Justice was done.
Wanna play?
Nica, the murders were real.
Chucky never was.
That's right. He was a fantasy, a delusion.
Are you feeling better now?
I don't blame you for being afraid. I was very ill.
Chucky told me. He's coming for you.
It's important that we all explore it together as a group. I think I have something that will help. Whoa!
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
First, he'll kill each and every one of you in the most horrible ways you can imagine. And then he'll kill me too. Come to mommy. Oh, come.
Are you afraid of the truth?
Terrified. You should be too.
Night night. And they call me sick?
Wait a minute, there's 2 of them?
He'll kill us all!
A true classic never goes out of style.